Okay, section 6.3, solving systems by elimination. We just got done with what we call substitution. Okay, so this is a different one. This one actually I think is easier than the last one. So those watching online, you're going to have to pause the video to write those things down. But we line up the equations. We're going to do that and make them, make all the different parts match. And then we're going to see if we need to do any multiplication. That'll be on day 2. We won't actually have to do that today. Then we add or subtract the equations, and we finish by solving for x and y. Okay, so we're going to just jump right in. We're going to solve by elimination. So I've got this first problem A. Okay, one of the things, we want to line these up. So if you look, we always try to put them in standard form. Standard form is this. It's ax plus by equals c. You'll notice we've got the x's lined up on top of each other. We've got the y's lined up on top of each other. And then over here we've got the equal signs lined up. And then we've got the constants, the c parts lined up. So this one is in standard form for both equations. That's important. Like if I had written this under this one, 2x equals y minus 7, is that one lining up with the other ones? Yes or no? This one, is it lining up with the other two? No. Okay, so see, we want to get them to line up. So first of all, we're only going to have 2 equations, and these 2 are lined up. So now we're going to draw under here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to add these equations. So this, remember, is 1x and 1x. So if we add down the column, over here we're going to get 2x. Now the y's, we have a positive 1y and a negative 1y. What happens to those? They eliminate. Okay? So those would disappear. And that's the name of this method. It is called the elimination method. We want those to eliminate. And then on the other side, we have a 20 and a 10. And we're just going to add, since they're both positive. So we get what? 30. Okay, now we can solve this. We're going to divide by 2. And x is 15. Okay, now it's just like the substitution method. We now have the x coordinate, 15 comma something. But we want to get the y coordinate, so we're going to want to take this, we're going to want to substitute in here into one of the equations. So I'm going to take the first equation, which is x plus y equals 20. And notice, I took out the x because I know what x is. I'm going to put the 15 in that we just found, and then I'm going to solve this. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides to help figure out y. And y is 5, and we have our answer. And ultimately, it goes back to what we started doing at the first. In the first ones, if we were to graph these 2 lines, that's where they would cross. If we graphed 2 different lines, they would cross at 15 over, 5 up. That would be the point. Not bad for left-handed. Yep. So, excuse it if it's a little slow. Those watching online, my right arm is hurt. So. Okay, so this one. Now, one of the other things you do want to do, you want to look and you want to see if one of them will eliminate. If we look here right now, if we were to add down the columns, they all line up. The x's, the y's, the equal sign, the other side. But which one is going to disappear right now? The y. So that's good. We always want to know that's something we have to have. So we're just going to draw the line and we're going to start adding down the columns. Remember, this is a positive 5x, that's a positive 3. So we can add those together and we can get 8x. Now use your calculator if you have to, but it's negative 32 plus 48. So, if you need a calculator, do grab one. But that ends up being 16. If we divide each side by 8, x is 2. Okay, part way there, we've got 2 comma something. So we got to take one of the equations. It really doesn't matter which one, so I'm just going to take the first one, and I'm going to go 5 times x, subtract 6y, equals negative 32. Now, if you want to use the other one, sorry, that 3 is a little goofy, but again, writing left-handed here. So I'm going to put the 2 in because x is 2. This becomes 10, subtract 6y, equals negative 32. I'm going to subtract 10. Now be careful with all these negatives. We get negative 6y equals negative 42. Divide by negative 6. And y is 7. So if we were to graph these two lines, they would cross at 2, 7. Okay, is this starting to make some sense? This one, you see, it's a little bit easier than substitution. Okay, so part C. Now, look at the y's and be very careful. The y's are the same. They're both 2's, but in order to eliminate, one of them is going to have to be positive and one's going to have to be negative. Is that the case? No. Okay, so for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to surround it with parentheses, and I'm going to put a negative 1, and I'm going to multiply everything in that top equation by negative 1, and now I'm going to write it down below here. So negative 1 times 3 would make this negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 2 would make it plus 2y. And the reason I multiplied by negative 1 was to make it so that the y's will now eliminate. Do you think that'll happen now? Okay, so one of the steps, the original step said, check to see if multiplication was needed. We needed to multiply by negative 1 so that those would eliminate. Okay, we can't take the negative 2 and negative 2. They would become negative 4 if we added them to the original problem. So now over here, a negative 1 times 0, anything times 0 is still 0. So that's nice. That didn't make that any different. Okay, but now we will draw our line and we'll start to add. This is 4x subtract 3x gets us 1x. The 2y and the negative 2y eliminate, and 14 plus 0 is 14. So we already have part of our answer again. X is 14. Now we take one of the equations. Again, you can take either equation. I'm just going to take this second one. 4 times x, subtract 2y, equals 14. I'm going to put 14 in because x is 14. So you may need your calculator for this. 4 times 14 is 56. I subtract 56 from each side. Negative 2y equals negative 42. We had a negative 42 in the last problem, but this time we're dividing by negative 2. So y is 21. Good. So this one, if we graph the two lines, they would cross at 14, 21. Still making sense, everyone, I hope? Again, I like this method. I think this one's my favorite of the two. The substitution one is good. This one, just if things are lining up, it goes a little faster sometimes. All right? So now, part D. If we look, The x's aren't the same, the y's are the same, but one of them needs to be a negative, so it's not the case. So what I usually do is I just take the top one and multiply it by -1. And the reason I do that is so that I can write it right underneath the other one. So this one, we would get -3x subtract 4y. And again, it's just using the distributive property. And then a negative times a negative gets me a plus 22. Make sure if you need to, use your calculator for these. We have -3x or -5x subtract 3x. That's going to get us -8x. -38 plus 22 gets us -16. We divide by -8. And x equals 2. Now I'm going to use this original equation. The original equation is 3x plus 4y equals -22. So notice, you can use this one if you want. You could use the one where it's negative, and a positive 22. It doesn't matter. You could use any of these. But I'm just going to use that original top one. And then 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4y is -22. I'm going to subtract 6. Or y is -28. Be careful there, a lot of negatives. Dividing by +4. And y is -7. So the answer to this one, cross out 2, -7. All right. So normally I'd let you give it a try. We're going to have to multiply this one. Yep. So, if you are working this at home, you may want to pause the video, work it, try it on your own. Here, we're just going to keep going. So -2x subtract 2y. That's the reason we did it. So the y's are going to eliminate. Equals -10. 3x minus 2x is 1x. And x is 4. So we're close. 4 comma something. Let's take it and put it back in. Again, I'm going to put it in the top equation, the 2x plus 2y. It's the original equals 10. If I put in the 4, I get 8 plus 2y equals 10. Subtract 8 from each side. If you divide by 2, should get y equals 1. That was the last example, wasn't it, on there? Thanks for watching.